Knowledge is power. Information is currency. Trust us to tell you what you need to hear. Welcome to the program. You're with Arise News in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Breaking news, exclusive interviews, unrivaled analysis. It's you, the audience, who drives our agenda. We tell the stories that inform you, the stories that are important to you, and the stories that are about you. We are not every news channel. We are Arise News.
It all starts with a bell. And that bell means it's business time. The bell rings in London, Lagos, Cairo, and Joburg, kicking off a new day of opportunities. New idea being born and bought, deals being done, big global players winning big or losing it all. IPOs, mergers, takeovers, stocks, bonds, and commodities. In the business world, the winner takes the spoils. In the business day, every moment matters. Trust us to be your guide to the highs and lows of the global marketplace. We will round up the business day, what's up, what's down, the bears and the bulls, and what to watch out for. This is Arise Exchange.
Good morning out there. You're watching The Morning Show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati.
I'm Ayon Mairesi.
And I'm Rafai Senior. We've got a great show lined up for you for the next 3 hours. So sit back, relax, and let's kickstart your day because the morning show begins right now.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says 87 million permanent voter cards, PVCs, have so far been collected ahead of tomorrow's election in Nigeria. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu disclosed this at a maiden briefing for the 2023 elections in Abuja on Thursday. A breakdown of the figures showed that Lagos leads in the number of collected PVCs with 6.2 million cards. This is followed by Kano with 5.5 million and Kaduna with 4.1 million. He noted that the current voter register has over 94 million voters, but stated that the commission will continue to clean it up with technology going forward. Meanwhile, the distribution of electoral materials to various local governments across the country began this week. In Lagos, the distribution was done by the State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Olusegun Agbaje, and monitored by the State Commissioner of Police, Idowu Omonwa, and military men. Joining us later on this show to discuss INEC's preparations ahead of tomorrow's election is Victor Ayualuko, INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity.
Moving things along, we shall be engaging Oludotun Odubana, Lagos Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations. He will be telling us how the noble men of the Nigerian police force have mobilized against insecurity and the protection of electorates ahead of tomorrow's election, most especially in the Lagos metropolis, which is noted for unusual pockets of ballot box snatching and thuggery. Also, Mike Igini, former INEC resident commissioner for Akwa Ibom State, will be giving us tips on last-minute election preparations and what stakeholders must know before heading to the polls and during voting.
Well, let's catch up on news making headlines across the globe. Michael Wilson gives us an update on global business outlook. While Road Sudiri updates us on Africa business activities across the continent. Aaron Akerjala will be taking us through sporting activities across the globe. We'll also review today's newspaper with Arise News analyst Manuel Feni, while Oji will fill us in on what's trending around the world. It's going to be all that and a whole lot more today on The Morning Show. Welcome back to The Morning Show right here on the Rise News channel. It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. Campaigning for Saturday's presidential election ended yesterday, but violence continued to overshadow the run-up to the vote. Several countries, including the United States, have called on all parties to take a firm stand against violence and hate speech by their supporters. This appeal comes hours after a Senate candidate was killed by gunmen in the southeastern city of Enugu. Nigeria has faced decades of insecurity challenges caused by armed groups in the north, as well as separatists in the south. There are 18 candidates who are competing to become president, but polls indicate there are only 3 frontrunners to replace Muhammadu Buhari. At least 93 million people are registered to vote.
The Commission is committed to free, fair, and credible elections in compliance with the electoral legal framework and the letter and spirit of the Peace Accord. All political parties and candidates are hereby reassured of the Commission's neutrality. INEC is not a political party. We have no candidate in the election. Our allegiance is to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and our loyalty is to Nigerians.
Meanwhile, several arrests have been made to ensure the peaceful conduct of the general elections in Nigeria. Spokespersons of security agencies and the armed forces briefed journalists at the defense headquarters in Abuja. Arise security and defense correspondent Ferdinand Duroha reports.
The briefing is the last before the presidential election this weekend. Earlier, security chiefs and the Inspector General of Police had assured Nigerians of peaceful polls, with a threat to give more against those planning to cause trouble during the process. However, with notable issues of pre-election violence and the mood of the masses dampened by the challenges posed by lack of cash and scarcity of petrol across the country, the likelihood for violent reactions cannot be ruled out. This is why public relations officers of the major security outfits are taking this time out to brief the media on what the agencies are doing to ensure safety.
The National Security Council met yesterday with a charge to the armed forces of Nigeria and other security agencies to ensure peaceful conduct of the forthcoming general elections. In both meetings, the Chief of Defense Staff has assured the nation that we are safe for the conduct of the history elections in the country.
On 18 February 2023, in Anambra State, the service arrested the pocket of Sunday Mokwe, of Jerry Osita, Udeben Ajon, and Okechukwu Emeka, and recovered, among others from them, 1 AK-47, 3,985 rounds of AK-47 ammunition.
And I want to say, again here without missing words, that our officers have made, particularly those that are detailed to VIPs or politicians, as escorts or aides, are not allowed to move with any one of them during the election. Apart from our governors that can go out with their ADC, and we don't expect them to go out with large number of security operations, because that day we are all equal before the law. But
the 2023 election is taking place amid security challenges, from terrorist to separatist agitations, and with banditry and farmers' herders conflict in between, no geopolitical zone in Nigeria is unaffected. Ferdinand Duroha, Arise News.
And ahead of tomorrow's elections, the National Electoral Body, INEC, says 87.2 million permanent voters card or PVCs have been collected out of the 93 million citizens who registered to vote across the country. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakub made the remark at a media briefing in Abuja. Arise correspondent Chinasa Samuel reports.
93.4 million Nigerians registered to vote in the 2023 general elections, but out of that figure, only 87.2 million Nigerians across the country collected their permanent voters card. A breakdown of the data shows that Lagos, the state with the highest number of registered voters, is leading as the state with the highest number of collected PVCs with 6.2 million cards collected. It is followed by Kano with 5.5 million. Kaduna follows closely with 4.1 million, while Katsina joins with 3.4 million cards collected. While Lagos State has the highest number of collected PVCs, it's also leading as a state with the highest number of uncollected PVCs with a figure of over 845,000. Oyo follows next with 515,000, Ogun with 410,000 uncollected PVCs, and Edo with 373,000. By regions, starting with the northeast, Borno State has 2.4 million PVCs collected, Gombe has 1.5, Adamawa has 1.9, Yobe 1.4, Bauchi 2.7 million, and Taraba State with 1.8 million PVCs collected. In the northwest, Jigawa has 2.2 million PVCs collected, while Kaduna has 4.1 million, Kano 5.5 million, Katsina 3.4 million, Kebbi 1.9 million, and a little above 2 million in Sokoto State, while 1.8 million in Zamfara State. In the North Central, Benue State has 2.6 million cards collected, Kogi has 1.8 million, Kwara 1.5 million, Nasarawa 1.8 million, Niger 2.6 million, Plateau 2.6 million as well, and 1.4 million cards collected in the FCT. In the southeast, Ebonyi State has 1.5 million cards, 1.9 million in Abia State, Anambra State 2.6 million, Imo 2.2 million, and Enugu with 1.9 million cards collected. While in the south-south, Delta State has 2.9 million cards collected, Edo has 2.1, Akwa Ibom 2.1 as well, while Bayelsa has a little above 1 million cards, Cross River has 1.6 million, and River State has 3.2 million. In the southwest, Lagos has 6.2 million cards collected, Ogun 2.2, Oyo 2.7, Osun 1.5, Ondo 1.7 million, and Ekiti State 958,000 cards collected. The 87.2 million Nigerians who obtained their permanent voters cards are expected to be at the polling units across the country on February 25th to elect a new president and new members of the National Assembly. Chinasa Samuel, Arise News.
Right, a lot to talk on this point.
Yes, it's crunch time, Rufai. In less than 24 hours, millions of Nigerians, as you've seen the numbers, would head to 176,606 polls across the Federation to exercise their franchise. Just to mention that with the figures coming up, very impressive, 93.3% collected PVCs, up from 86.3% in 2019, and did a lot better than 82.1% in 2015. However, it's not just the collection. So Nigerians have done well in registration, record registration numbers. They've done well with collection, record collection numbers, but also what's very important is voter turnout. Mm-hmm. And last election cycle, 2019, we had only 35% voter turnout, which was very, quite low. So what we're looking to do at this, during this election is to up those numbers and to ensure that as many Nigerians as possible are able to exercise their franchise, which brings us to the earlier story you talked about, the issue of security, which plays a big role when we talk about voter apathy in the country. So a number of reasons why some people have flown out of the country at this time, or their family members, or people would rather stay at home than go out to vote, is because of uncertainties around their security as to whether they are safe when they go to the polls. And this is what the Joint Security Operations has, through media briefings, have told us a number of times, assuring Nigerians that they are on top of things. In fact, for many people across states in Nigeria, you'd see quite a heavy presence of military vehicles, military officials, two things. It could act as a deterrent to mischief makers or perhaps violent touts who would propagate violence, but also it could put some fear in people as well. So it's a two-edged sword, because people are then wondering, is it going to be that bad? Why are we seeing so much, there's such a militarization of this particular election? But the military has come out to assure Nigerians that they are just offering support efforts to the lead operators who is the Nigerian police force. And I'm glad that we have, we're going to be having an interview in the course of today's show to address that. But very quickly to summarize, I just want to say two things to the electorate. Tomorrow is your opportunity to vote in your choice. It is going to be your choice. And so what we're asking people to do, arrive early. There are guidelines across, identify your polling unit as early as possible, and ensure you yourself are able to conduct yourself properly. Do not wear any paraphernalia of any party at all. Go exercise your franchise, monitor your votes if you want to, or go home peacefully. So security agencies, again, just to mention, you have given Nigerians the assurance, all eyes are on you tomorrow. Please ensure that the promise you've made to Nigerians over the last few days, you keep to those promises. For INEC, I'm glad that we played the video where the INEC chairman talks about the fact that they were neutral. The I in INEC is for independence, and this is what Nigerians are calling for INEC to be, truly independent in their conduct and in the conduct of their staff members, to give us reports consistently, because Nigerians are watching. And of course, for the candidates to be gracious in winning or in defeat, because it's election, anything can happen. I know we asked yesterday some candidates, anything can happen. So please, as we've seen as we saw in 2015, whoever loses, whoever wins, be gracious in this. And your body language and the words that you speak would either incite or hit the polity, or perhaps douse, any form of violence, or would ensure calm. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Looking forward to a peaceful, free, fair, and credible elections.
Dr. Vati? It's a watershed moment in Nigerian history. This has been the 7th consecutive cycle, the 7th major consecutive cycle of elections since the return to democracy in 1999. And its significance is further underscored by the fact that Nigeria is the largest democracy in Africa, even with 87.2 million people having collected their PVCs. That's more than the population of voters in any major general election in 10 West African countries put together. And therefore, the interest that has been shown in this election by the international community is to be, remarked upon. Australia, Japan, United States, UK, Canada, all the countries, have expressed support, have identified with the Nigerian people, and have encouraged the Nigerian people to vote freely and fairly. And that is to tell us that the operation, if you can call an election an operation, tomorrow in Nigeria, it's not just about Nigeria. It's something that the entire world is interested in, both for global stability and for the sustenance and deepening of the democratic project, which is, the basic ideal in today's world. The other point to note here is that, yes, INEC tells us that it is prepared, and that is what we expect to hear from INEC and the security agencies, and all the other stakeholders that are going to oversee this election. In the meantime, the Customs Department has announced the closure of all land borders to Nigeria. The certain airlines have suspended operations. The Nigerian Railways has said there will be no operations from Saturday to Sunday. The Nigerian Police has said that there will be a curfew in place from 12 midnight today till 6 p.m. Tomorrow. So Nigeria appears to be set. Tomorrow, there will be election of one president, although there are 18 candidates in the race, 18 political parties. Nigeria will also be electing all the 360 members of the House of Representatives and all the 109 members, minus one, because one seat is vacant, of the Senate, which brings it to a total of 468 positions up for grabs. The candidates in that race alone, there are 4,223. And the polling units that INEC will have to manage, 176,846 in 774 local governments. And that's why I say it's a big operation. And so INEC will be tested. Tomorrow, INEC will be using in general election, beyond the off-cycle elections, the reliance on technology, BVAS, the bimodal verification accreditation system, BVAS, and also IREV, which is the reporting portal. So there's going to be a lot of dependence on technology, and the capability of INEC will be tested to the limits. The security agencies also have their work cut out for them, particularly in the face of the threat by certain elements, as far away as even Finland, saying that they should be sit at home from today till the end of the elections in certain parts of the country. Now, would that happen? Would the state fold its arms and allow that to affect voter turnout? So the state also has to give confidence to all of those communities where people have been told that they must not come out. And it is important that certain other non-state actors have said, look, people should go out and vote. Otherwise, the 87.2 million PVCs that have been collected will be of no effect. It's only when people go out and vote with those PVCs and then take a decision. This is an election like no other because the stakes are very high. The stakes are high with regard to ethnicity, which has been a major factor in the election. With regard to religion, how would Christians vote? How would Muslims vote? With regard to inclusion, women constitute 52% of the voters that will turn out tomorrow. 48% are men, male. Youths between the ages of 18 and 39 constitute more than 45% of the entire voting population. So you find that the youth bulge, are we going to see that youth bulge out there tomorrow to take a decision one way or the other? But at the end of the day, what matters, it seems to me, is that whatever result is announced, as was pointed out during the second peace accord that was signed by the political parties and which has been praised by the international community, the gladiators, the contestants at all levels must be prepared to accept the outcome of the result. Where they may have any grievances, nobody should take the law into their hands. And again, I end by calling on the security agents to do their job. Yesterday in Kano, there was a protest by a group called Kwankwansiya. At the end of the day, 63 persons were injured and 63 persons were arrested. 8 people died, according to one report. Now, nobody should die because Nigerians want to elect a president and 468 representatives in the National Assembly. That is what is important, and I hope that we all go to the polls and will be given the free chance to make an informed choice.
It is another elections, but it's a very symbolic one. Not because it's like the 7th cycle since we returned to democracy, but it's because it's exactly 100 years elections started happening in Nigeria. The first elections then, under colonial rule, was in 1923.
It was 1922.
22.
Under the Clifford Constitution. 1922.
So makes it 101 years. And it is symbolic because after 100 years, what have we learned? Nothing, you'd reckon. Nothing. We returned to our own civilian rule and we had the first elections in December 59. That continued. We had another elections in 64. And that continued for a bit until the military took over. Now we are back to our democratic race. 7th cycle. Have the lives of the people changed? No. And that's why these elections matter. We always make the argument that there is just only one elite political class and the other class is the people, the suffering people of Nigeria. The question is, will this election speak for the suffering people of Nigeria? I will not answer that question. It is you watching me out there that have got a PVC in your hands that will answer that question. You that have been suffering because of the policies of politicians and the fact that they think it's all about them and less about the suffering people. So you will be the one to vote. INEC says we've got admirable numbers, 87 million people plus. I'd like to ask INEC, does that also involve the people that they found their PVCs in the bush in Nnewi? Were those other people part of those that collected their PVCs? because we need to be able to interrogate the numbers. Was it also part of the long queues of people that didn't get their PVCs in Jakonde in Lagos? 87 million? Or is it plus the people that have collected their PVCs before? Because we'd like to know. Because the bulk of the people that did their new registration couldn't collect their PVC. So can we also subject that number to an integrity test? INEC has told us beavers will work. Hope we will not hear stories on election day. Hope the portal is safe and secure, the IRF portal. Hope people will be able to send the results there. And we will not hear a case like we heard in Osun, that it was some voters that gave the INEC officials data on their phone to transmit results. Hope INEC has sorted all of these things out. The security authorities, hope all hands are on deck. Hope we will not hear stories. Hope ballot boxes will not be burnt like they were burnt in 2019 elections in Amuwo Dofin and the police officer was just looking. Hope people will not be disenfranchised. Political actors. I'm excited Dr. Abati made mention of that riot yesterday in Kano. Hope you will not say inciting things. Hope we will not start seeing results from your Twitter handle before INEC officially announce the results. Because we all know the game, so I wish Nigeria the very best. But the best of Nigeria will come if only you, watching me with your PVC this morning, do your best. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll have Michael Wilson, Road to Sodiri, to give us updates on global Africa business activity. Stay with us.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business, we vote. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business, we vote.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Every day, life presents hopes, dreams, and challenges. Challenges that can become successes with a little help. Because a little help can empower you to go from despair to celebration. A little help can keep you going until the race is won. A little help can turn bundles of anxiety into a bundle of joy. And with Glow Data, you get much more than just a little help. You get the biggest data deals in town to make every day glow with small wins and big wins. Dial *777# to select your Glow Data plan.
Me, I'm not afraid of that man.
Me too.
What can you really do?
I hope you people are discussing about paying me my rent.
Oga landlord, calm down. We are discussing about the upcoming elections.
Nonsense. Don't tell me to calm down. Your mates are at the Akamata Community Square selling their votes for 5,000 naira. but you are here doing what I don't know.
Oga Landlord, do you know that 5,000 naira spread over the next 4 years is just 4 naira per day? Is this what we should sell our votes for? God forbid.
Oga Landlord, wise up. We must vote in the right people this time, instead of selling our votes to people who have nothing good to offer our community.
That one is your business. You ladies better go and collect yours, if that will help you gather my rent at the end of the month. Do not listen to people like this landlord. Election is not a business venture. It is your civic duty to your country to help elect the right leaders who will create a better life for you and a great future for your children. Do not sell your future. Do not sell your vote. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Michael.
Morning. Very, very briefly, Asian markets fairly mixed this morning. Japanese, Hong Kong's down about 1.6%, China's down about 0.8%. We've heard from the new man who's going to be the governor of the Central Bank of Japan, Kazuo Ueda, and he's been speaking. What he's been saying is he's pretty happy at the moment with the way things are going, i.e. Japan will stay ultra dovish. Inflation's risen by 4.2%, which ought to be worrying him, but he will make his decisions about interest rates in a sustainable way. That's what he's saying this morning. China has got $2.5 trillion worth of consumer spending all stored up. It could create enormous opportunities. This is according to the CEO of the Hong Kong Exchange and Clearing Organization. So we're looking forward to a lot of consumer action in China. As far as the United States is concerned, stock futures are falling. They've got a lot of things to think about today. They're going to have, well, first of all, Boeing's down very, very slightly. Delivery of the Dreamliner interrupted because of fuselage problems, but personal income, consumption and new home sales will have everybody looking at those to find out what's actually happening to inflation in the United States. Janet Yellen, the US Treasury Secretary, has been saying she will have trade talks with China at a suitable time and an appropriate time. She's put it, they'll talk about food security, debt and climate change along subjects. This is ahead of the G20 in India right now this weekend. And I think it's time for night. I know you've got your eyes on other things at the moment, the elections, but don't forget Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She's not a favourite to be nominated for the new head of the World Bank, which I personally think is a shame. I have interviewed her. I think she's very impressive. At the moment, the United States, in whose gift it is nominating somebody called Ajay Banga, who is a former MasterCard chief. But anyway, I would, if you do know anybody, start lobbying for Ngozi, because I think she's a great woman and she'd be an important addition to that august organisation. Ukraine, it's a year since the invasion. The Russians are still calling it a special operation that should be prepared for the biggest reconstruction since the end of World War II. Poverty level could be by about 60% of the population by the year of this end, and it will cost $1 trillion to reconstruct the country according to the world, the IMF and the World Bank. They're just making those figures this morning. Turkey has slashed its interest rate again by 0.5%. 46,000 people have died in the two earthquakes. Unbelievable amount of people. But this is a big test for the present Prime Minister, Erdogan, but he feels as though growth will start towards the end of the year as far as the economy is concerned. But he has to say that because elections are coming up. UK consumer confidence beating all expectations. People, despite the rise in the cost of living, are going out and spending the highest rate since April 2022. UK, the leader of the Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer, has been saying that he will make, should Labour be elected, he will make the UK the fastest growing economy in G7. Good jobs, strong prosperity, a credible industrial strategy, apprenticeships, childcare, and also all sorts of other opportunities that Labour are promising. And oil has been rising very, very slightly on inventories out from the EIA. WTI trading within a range of, I've got it now, between $73 and $83 a barrel. So things very, very choppy still on the oil markets. That is sorry about the rush, but that's the global view this morning. Good morning.
Right, real quickly, AJ Banga, the former MasterCard CEO, he's got corporate experience, but you see, the argument will be, does it have public policy experience like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala? He's vice chairman of General Atlantic, done well, worked at PepsiCo, worked at Nestle, worked in other corporate companies. But that's the edge Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala brings across. Like you said, we need to lobby for this, isn't it?
Yeah. Indeed, and I think some of her credentials are rather good, really, because what this is all about, if you remember, Malpass, who was forced to resign because there was dissatisfaction about his direction of the World Bank, didn't feel it was attending to the green debate enough. She would do that. I don't see what, but I don't see what Anjay is going to bring to the party. But as I keep saying, this is in the gift of the United States. Although China, Japan, UK will have to, and the EU will have to vote on it because they are shareholders in the World Bank. But the United States is the majority shareholder. But I think lobbying is definitely in order.
Well, I was going to talk about AJ as well, because, of course, as we mentioned last week, we talked about the fact that the current DG WTO could be very well positioned. One of the things that had been mentioned as well, Michael, was the fact that AJ was raised in India, which is a developing nation, and also has had an extensive time working in the private sector in the US. The same kind of background that Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has, because I'd also mentioned the fact that development agencies had perhaps lobbied for the fact that someone with a development background, or perhaps even from a developing nation, should be at the helms of affairs of the World Bank. So it's quite surprising that they haven't considered her quite highly for this role.
Well, again, I don't know how the decisions are made. All I can say is that that's the US nomination, but you're absolutely right. I mean, what they're also looking for is, and this is why AJ has come to the fore because of his role in knowing about developing nations. But again, Ngozi has exactly the same kind of credentials, I would have thought. And because she's a woman, it adds to the whole diversity look of the World Bank. No, I mean, it's time to lobby.
Anyway, AJ Banga, President Biden is even praising him for his experience. But the question that has been raised is about what kind of experience. But the bigger concern is David Malpass was criticized for not paying enough attention to global warming and climate change. But developing countries are more interested in poverty alleviation, support for their development programs. Under AJ Banga, if he gets the endorsement of the other major shareholders, are we going to see a shift from addressing global poverty to climate change? That's the question. Secondly, IMF has now published policy priorities for cryptocurrency. And the number one recommendation of IMF is that no country should use cryptocurrency or Bitcoin as legal tender, apart from all the other recommendations about putting framework in place. Now, what does that say about El Salvador and Central African Republic, two countries that previously adopted Bitcoin as legal tender?
Yeah, I think I'd have a great deal of caution worrying about what the IMF says about anything, quite honestly. And certainly, I don't necessarily feel that their encouragement or indeed caution about Bitcoin is to be taken too seriously. I think what will happen, and again, El Salvador and Central African Republic can go their own ways as far as that's concerned. Has it bridged the gap between rich and poor? No, it has not. And is that not what these nations ought to be doing? I would leave, quite honestly, the discussions away from the IMF and more towards central banks about them developing their own cryptocurrencies. I still feel that Bitcoin is a bit of a bet. As far as the World Bank is concerned, you're absolutely right. Yes, of course, developing nations are saying, well, we'd rather like to develop. Thank you very much indeed. We'll worry about the green credentials later on. I mean, that's something that has to happen. And if AJ is the kind of person who's going to crystallize that debate and make that work, then I think he is the man for the job. Again, I would say that Ngozi ought to be doing exactly the same kind of thing, because she must have experience of developing nations as well as her normal green credentials. So again, it's down to a difficult job of selection. But all I'm reporting is the US nomination so far. The votes close, I think, March 29. So there's plenty of time.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. She's got experience of living in a developing nation, and she's also worked in many development agencies. Let's put that, Gavi and the likes, and the World Bank itself. Moving on to Africa business stories. As Nigerians prepare to vote in the general elections on Saturday, violence remains a concern. So could technology provide a solution in future elections by allowing citizens to vote via mobile phones? A Rise business correspondent wrote to the spoke to public and private sectors owners and stakeholders for answers.
A newspaper article in Nigeria says it all. Preparing for elections ought not to be risky business. A tweet from human rights lawyer Inibehe Effiong said, corrupt politicians are now relying on violence and vote buying to subvert the electoral process. These aren't made-up allegations. They are real. Labour Party supporters, for instance, were attacked in Lagos ahead of a rally held by the presidential candidate Peter Obi. He took to Twitter to condemn the incident and call for peace and the rule of law. Speaking of peace, a peace accord was signed by candidates running for office in Abuja, with President Buhari calling for peaceful, violence-free elections.
Since my assumption of office, we have worked so hard to ensure that we pass on a legacy of free, fair, credible, safe, and peaceful elections.
According to data from INEC, reported by the Punch newspaper, about 1,149 people, including independent National Electoral Commission officials, Youth Corps members, and security officials, have been killed since the 2011 elections to date. INEC says it lost about 9,836 card readers, 345 ballot boxes, and 135 voting cubicles since the 2019 elections. INEC says the estimated loss is about 845 million naira, just counting those incidents.
But what if there was a way to avoid election violence altogether? What if citizens could vote using their mobile phones from the comfort of their own homes? Avoiding polling units might even save INEC some money. But there's some challenges to that, one of which is Nigeria's constitution.
So the first issue is that the constitution, which is the ground norm of the country, makes it mandatory that only citizens of Nigeria who have attained the age of 18 residing in Nigeria at the time of registration of voters are entitled to vote. That's the one. This has also been reinforced by Section 10 of the Electoral Act 2022. Not only that, if you also look at Section 55 and Section 56 of the Electoral Act 2022, it makes it very clear that no voter shall record his or her vote otherwise than by personally attending at the polling unit. So you must attend the polling unit personally on election day, otherwise you will not be allowed to vote. So for us to begin to vote through the internet or using telephones or other electronic means, it presupposes that we have to amend the constitutional and legal framework to accommodate that. And so my own suggestion, my own proposition is that, one, let us go gradually. Let us introduce the electronic voting machines into the electoral process. Secondly, it is possible for us to also package early voting so that the individuals who are election duty staff, who are disenfranchised on election day, can do early voting before the election day, so that security agencies can do early voting. Domestic or election observers can also do early voting, and the media can do early voting, and we capture this demography before election day. Then secondly, we have to also find ways and means of imputing diaspora voting in our electoral process. And then when we accomplish some of these things, then we can look at the possibility of using the internet and other electronic means for voting purposes. But we must also look at the demography of the country, look at the history of this country, look at the literacy level, and also look at all the other legal and administrative variables before we get into this process and this procedure.
We then spoke to private sector players in the tech space to get their thoughts.
You know, this is a really touchy topic, and I'm going to give you maybe an answer that you wouldn't expect. I think technology is incredibly powerful. I think it can do many things for us. I think when it comes to democratic elections, especially things that happen in a very finite period of time and that involve an entire country, I think it's premature to try to move everything into the digital age. And I think one of the benefits of the legacy way of doing things is having paper receipts for the purposes of auditing. So if there is a dispute, for example, in an election, you can go back and audit. Now, that's less of a concern when you got one consumer for one bank account. You know, we can always do an audit for one consumer, one bank account, one particular transaction. You can do that in a few minutes or a day. But if you've got to do a dispute for an entire nation, that can actually throw countries into turmoil. We saw that in my home country, the United States. So I actually still favor sort of having a paper backup for the things that are at the national scale for elections. But I think that there will be great advances in technology, and I'm imagining that, you know, within my lifetime, it probably will begin to happen in more parts of the world. I know it currently happens in some parts of Europe.
Online voting on mobile phones can work in Nigeria, but not now. And I say that because, as you can tell, the uptake of mobile services is not exactly, you know, very popular. It's not as popular in Nigeria as the numbers from NCCs, you know, so to say, suggest. You know, I've always maintained that the number, you know, that the NCC, the, you know, telecom regulator counts is the number of SIM cards in phones, which clearly is owned by, you know, multiple people. I mean, multiple phones are owned by, you know, single individuals. So at the moment, we can't do that. But I believe in a few years, it is very possible that we're able to do that. The only disadvantage of voting online or voting via mobile phones is the reach. You know, the number of people who have those devices, number one. Secondly, who understand the use of those devices, and thirdly, some of the digital security concerns. But there's none of them that can be surmounted. You know, we can definitely go towards, you know, increased mobile phone penetration in Nigeria over in a specific period of time. We can deliberately educate people.
We are discussing about online voting's possibility in Nigeria. There are three basic considerations. The three different possibilities of conducting the online voting. The first one being something that people have been used to for several years ago. We're talking about the USSD platform, which basically doesn't require access to internet. You know, if we are considering making it a national conduction of an election via mobile phone, we need to consider the possibility of people using a phone that doesn't have internet access, basically a non-smartphone. Now, this is one possibility. Then secondly, in recent times, let's say about over a decade ago, there has been some major developments with regards to centralized system. Recently, we call it the Web 2-based interface, which also allow people to come up with applications, softwares, you know, mobile phone applications where they can easily conduct online voting. Then recently, we have a major development in the blockchain ecosystem, basically termed the Web 3.0 industry, allowing people to also be able to conduct voting online in a secured environment. But now, when it comes to the various risks involved in conducting anything that has to do with the internet or probably any digital solution, we're talking about the cybersecurity.
Yes, it's technologically possible in the sense that you can actually realize it using the existing technology. However, it will be no in terms of practicality because there are different reasons why it would not apply across the nation or would not be accepted. And I say that because there are a few considerations. My considerations include things like mobile and internet connectivity. If you do not have mobile and internet connectivity across the nation, then you would not be able to realize it in some aspects of the nation. And of course, that will lead to exclusion, which again, we don't want that in today's world where we're trying to include everyone in all kinds of activities of the government. The second consideration will be data management systems. So if indeed it was technologically possible, the question would then be how we manage the data from the edges. You think about how to use the remote location, maybe somewhere in Borno, and the voting has happened, or even the registration and the voting happens. We need to consider how we would manage the data on the devices all the way to the servers or the storage facilities in the central location. So that's another consideration for me. And finally, identity management. That's one thing where we in Nigeria, we're not quite ready for. So when you talk about voting using the mobile phones, you need to ensure that you can have the appropriate kind of identity management in place. And this is also putting into consideration the fact that you have feature phones and smartphones. It would very likely work with smartphones, but the majority of the population in the rural areas do not have smartphones. And so you would largely exclude those Nigerians.
So there you have it. The public sector and the private sector have weighed in. Voting by phone via the internet, not possible in Nigeria at this time. Maybe sometime in the future. Until then, Nigerians will be hoping for free, fair, and safe elections in 2023. Rodas Odiri, Arise News.
Rotus, thank you very much for that report, end to end, and coming with the conclusion that we are not quite ready for voting by phone. Perhaps, like we talked about on air, we should explore that or start exploring it in the Senate in their voting and see how that could work. Well, it's time. Okay.
I wanted to say something about mobile phones and voting. I think INEC has made it very clear that mobile phones is not part of this year's process. Mm-hmm. So people have also been told not to go to the polling booths with their mobile phones, because no individual is allowed to be transmitting results. Those who want to check results real time, they go to the IREF portal, and the protocol has already been defined by INEC. However, the idea of electronic voting may be something for the future. Even in the countries where they adopt it, there are concerns about privacy, about security, about efficiency. The technology that Nigeria wants to test large scale tomorrow is BVAS and IREF, but it's good to think about the future since technology dominates our lives.
Absolutely.
Therefore, now let's manage what we have.
All right, well, time for a short break now. When we return, Aaron Akirijola will be here with Global Sports Updates. Stay with us.
A bit of showbiz. If it's happening in the world of entertainment, you'll be hearing about it here. From what's trending on the socials to music and movies, and all the latest showbiz gossip from around the world. Join us for a front row seat at the Oscars in Los Angeles, or the biggest moments from Fashion Week. It's fun, it's fresh, and it's packed full of all the entertainment news you need to know. You heard it here first. I'm Kachi Ofia, and this is Arise 360, where every culture matters.
It all starts with a bell. And that bell means it's business time. The bell rings in London, Lagos, Cairo, and Joburg, kicking off a new day of opportunities. New idea being born and bought, deals being done, big global players winning big or losing it all. IPOs, mergers, takeovers, stocks, bonds, and commodities. In the business world, the winner takes the spoils. In the business day, every moment matters. Trust us to be your guide to the highs and lows of the global marketplace. We will round up the business day with up, what's down, the bears and the bulls, and what to watch out for. This is Arise Exchange.
We all love a bit of showbiz. If it's happening in the world of entertainment, you'll be hearing about it here. From what's trending on the socials to music and movies, and all the latest showbiz gossip from around the world. Join us for a front row seat at the Oscars in Los Angeles, or the biggest moments from Fashion Week. It's fun, it's fresh, and it's packed full of all the entertainment news you need to know. You heard it here first. I'm Kachi Ofia, and this is Arise 360, where every culture matters.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For updates on sports stories across the globe, Aaron Akerijola joins us. Good morning, Aaron.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ayo. Good morning to you, Doctor. Good morning to you, Rufai. Let's get it started off with the big game that actually came out yesterday. Manchester United against Barcelona at Old Trafford. And once again, Manchester United, they just seem to be on the run. And kudos to them. On the day, we thought that Lewandowski would have a massive say in what would actually happen. But unfortunately for them, Manchester United have a knack of coming back in the second half and actually having a good game. And of course, also there was a massive game yesterday as PSV decided that they were going to do themselves proud and actually qualify for the next round of the Europa League. So as it stands right now, kudos to Manchester United. They're still on the run and they have an opportunity later on. We'll talk about that in a moment. An opportunity to actually even get into the cup mode. But in the meantime, let's talk about the under-20 national team. Talking about the Flying Eagles, and kudos to them. They were able to defeat the home team and the host of this particular competition, the Young Pharaohs, as they actually have put themselves in a very, very good position to go in, not just into the next round of the competition, but hopefully advance into the next stage of this particular competition with the hope of probably building on that particular momentum. They started off on a low. We're hoping that they finish their final game of the season, their final game of the group on a high and just take it from there. The Flying Eagles are world beaters. They've actually teetered off in the past few years. We're hoping that they will rise to the occasion once again. And one man has been speaking. Emmanuel Amunike, we know him. Yes. African Footballer of the Year. He has played at the highest level, won trophies, both as a player and as a coach. And he said in 1994, one of the qualifiers, he actually played with one eye. And it shows dedication, determination, and something that this present crop of Super Eagles do lack. And we hope that they can actually learn from this, pull from this, and go on to do the Super Eagles proud, because right now the Super Eagles are at one of the lowest erbs ever. And we're hoping that this March, when they begin qualifiers again for the Nations Cup next year, they'll restore a little bit of faith But let's see how it goes. But in the meantime, let me just throw this one in ahead of the Carabao. But first of all, Bukayo Saka has actually spoken, and he has actually said that he's glad that he wants to commit his future to Arsenal. And Arsenal are going to reward him with £200,000 a week. And they'll be giving him an extended contract. He's actually earned this particular contract with what he has actually done on and off the pitch for the Gunners. And I must say kudos to him and all he has actually done. And finally, this weekend, the Carabao Cup. And we're going to see Manchester United gunning for a trophy for the first time in more than 3-4 years right now. And they'll be going against Newcastle United, who themselves haven't won a trophy in over a decade. So let's see what happens. Or they've not gotten to the final in over a decade, so they'll be hoping that they can actually get something. And probably maybe that investment from Saudi will begin to yield dividends. So it is Manchester United against Newcastle United this weekend, the Carabao Cup final. The first silverware for the season.
I think it's going to be a tough one. Man U is in sparkling form. Kudos to them about how they, beat Barcelona.
Yeah.
That sparkling form, really. I'm really, really excited that they went out there. I think it was payback time. I think it was the first time since the 80s, I think 1985 thereabout, that Barcelona has been dumped out, in round of 16 in Europe. I
think this should be 98. 1998.
Yeah. I mean, in Europa, you know. So I'm really excited about what Man U has achieved. It shows that when you have a good leader, a good coach, you have a good team, a good thinker. I can't say the same for Chelsea, and I don't know why Graham Potter.
The point is, it takes time.
No, I don't think it takes time for Graham Potter. I don't think.
Remember at the beginning of the season, Manchester United were looking lost at sea.
I don't think
they were in 5 and 6s.
I don't think honestly Graham Potter is a world-class coach. I think Ten Hag has been tested with what he did in Ajax, but not Graham Potter. Not just one season or 2 season flash in the pan. You bring into coach and say it's Chelsea, for God's sake. It's not Crystal Palace, please. No offense to Graham Potter. Moving on that. I mean, what Amunike talked about just shows the dedication. And it's not only even Nigerian footballers that were very dedicated. It's across board, across the Africa. When I saw that game you are putting on the background, it brought a lot of tears because I remember that game particularly. You know why? Leading up to that game, a year before, the Zambians had this plane crash.
I remember.
That most of their footballers died. And you remember how Kalusha Buaya led the team. And the Zambians came back stronger.
Yes.
You could see people that had head band all over. I think in that game particularly, their captain was injured and he had to tie a band over his head and he still played on through the game. And those are the kind of people that the kind of dedication we lack in the Super Eagles team today. Now you call a player, he's feeling like he's on top of everybody else. But you can also exonerate the blame too from the fact that NFF2 has failed in fact of management. Because as at that time, I remember what made the success of the team was the likes of Emeka Omerua supporting the team, ensure that General Sonny Abacha got out all the monies from 94 as I went due. Westerhoff always got his money. There was never any time Westerhoff really complained about not getting his money for his players. But you remember that in 1998, things changed. You remember the infamous fight in the camp of the Super Eagles leading up to the game against Denmark that made them perform poorly in the game against Denmark. Was because salaries and allowances were not paid. And we all remember how that happened. And the indiscipline in the camp that players were gallivanting everywhere. Honorable mention, Taribo West.
Let's leave that.
Let's leave all of those things aside.
Bygones should be bygones. Let's
talk about the current Flying Eagles.
Yes.
Who are representing us in Egypt.
Yeah.
On Sunday, they lost 1-0 to Senegal. Now, they were able to, on Wednesday, to beat Egypt.
Yes.
1-0 to remain in the game. And then now, on Saturday, they will be meeting Mozambique. Mozambique lost 3-0 to Senegal in the second match. So tomorrow, that's February 25, is the day Nigeria expects to win. Not just at the post, but also on the football pitch in Egypt. Yeah. It should be a day of victory for Nigeria.
I hope they carry that sense of patriotism.
And Ladan Boso should tell his boys that, okay, you have to win to go to the quarterfinals and to keep your record as 7-time champions at that level and go to the World Cup. I think the World Cup is in Indonesia.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so that's the expectation. Eric Ten Hag, yes, well, he's been boasting. and he can as well boast. He says the Man U that he is managing now, a much improved team, can beat any team, including Man City or anybody that comes around. Because he has been able to put a mosquito in the midfield. That mosquito caused problems for Barcelona.
but kudos to Casemiro.
Yeah.
Maybe some felt that he didn't get the needed recognition at Real Madrid. Some will argue, but at Manchester United he's a superstar.
Finally, I read a statement on Twitter, I think, by Sergio Ramos, who says, well, he will not play, he's ending his international career. Because the coach has forced him, Fuentes, says he will not use Sergio Ramos. He didn't take him to Qatar World Cup 2022, and he says he has no use for his services. And he says it's painful because Pepe is still playing, Messi is still playing, Modric is still playing. But, the international coach for his country says he cannot play anymore.
No,
For
but
him,
that comes,
it
comes to the territory. When a man is cantankerous and sometimes can very divisive,
but he plays well.
Oh, of course.
He has represented his country over 180 times.
Sometimes his emotions balls over and he cannot settle a dressing room. He's old and there are quite a lot of
He's 30, he will be 37.
Yes,
Pepe is in his 40s.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I know. But he says he's been forced out by the coach. I don't know whether that's a good thing. Thank you.
That was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Ayo.
We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Victor Ayualuko, INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I'm about to serve better breakfast.
If you're in Lagos, you need to see this.
I'm not just streaming content, I'm just escaping traffic.
Get more data to enjoy exclusive content. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will conduct the 2023 general election using the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, BVAS. On election day, the BVAS equipment will be used to accredit voters by verifying their fingerprints or facial photographs. In each polling unit, every voter must be verified and authenticated before they are allowed to vote. Any intending voter whose fingerprint or facial photograph is not verified by the BVAS equipment will not be able to vote. With this, one man, one woman, one vote is assured. As no one can engage in multiple voting, neither can anyone use the voter cards of another person to vote. After polling, the BVAS equipment will also be used to transmit election results electronically from polling units to the INEC result viewing portal for everyone to see. BVAS will eliminate multiple voting, identity theft, or impersonation. The BVAS will guarantee one man, one woman, one vote. INEC, making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
This message is brought to you by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Osiwa Africa Foundation.
Knowledge is power. Information is currency. Trust us to tell you what you need to hear. Welcome to the program. You're with Arise News in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Breaking news, exclusive interviews, unrivaled analysis. It's you, the audience, who drives our agenda. We tell the stories that inform you, the stories that are important to you, and the stories that are about you. We are not every news channel. We are Arise News.
This is the heart of the business world in Lagos, the commercial capital of Africa's largest economy.
These aren't just numbers. They represent our nation's sharpest minds, our most successful investors, our most inspiring bosses. In Nigeria, business is in our DNA. From micro-business to startups to world-conquering brands. Every success story has something in common. They all started somewhere. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Global Business Report gets to the heart of business. We bring you the stories making headlines across the globe with in-depth analysis from experts and executives.
This is not business as usual. This is the Global Business Report.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says 87 million permanent voters' cards have so far been collected ahead of tomorrow's election in Nigeria. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu disclosed this at the maiden briefing for the 2023 elections in Abuja on Thursday. A breakdown of the figure showed that Lagos leads in the number of collected PVCs with 6.2 million. This is closely followed by Kano with 5.5 million and Kaduna with 4.1 million. He noted that the current voter register has over 94 million voters. They stated that the commission will continue to clean it up with technology going forward. Meanwhile, as the distribution of electoral materials to various local governments across the country continues, INEC says it is ready to conduct tomorrow's election. Joining us now on the morning show from our Abuja studio to discuss INEC's preparations ahead of tomorrow's election is Victor Ayoaluku, INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity. Good morning, Mr. Aluko. Thank you very much for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, first about these figures. Before you joined us during the headline segment of the program today, Rufai Hosseini here had raised a question about the figure that INEC is touting, 87.2 million persons having collected, 87.2, right? It's 7.2 million.
Yeah, 209,000
Okay.
7 persons.
Yeah, we just
approximately 87.2.
We have it on the screen, so it's 7.2, more or less. Okay, so the question, therefore, is that will translate into about 93.6% collection rate. But the concern is, does that include all those persons who have protested, complained that they could not get their PVCs? Does that include those PVCs that were burnt in Ogun State and in Osun and elsewhere when there were attacks on INEC facilities? Does that include the PVCs that were found in the forest by a hunter who had gone to the forest to hunt for rabbit and antelopes, but ended up coming back home with bag loads of PVCs? So what exactly is that 87.2? Is it actual PVCs collected or just the number of persons who applied total, and some of them probably did not get the PVCs?
Thank you. As released by INEC yesterday, the figure 87.2 million represents the PVCs that are actually in the hands of Nigerians. PVCs are either in the hands of the people, and if they are uncollected, they are in our offices. Now, the ones in the hands of Nigerians are 87,209,007. The ones that are in our custody that are uncollected are 6,259,229. So PVCs are either in 2 locations, in our offices or in the hands of the people. So the ones that are in our offices, that is the lower figure. And the big figure is the figure, that is the total number of PVCs that are in the hands of Nigerians.
Are you saying, Mr. Aluko?
And those are the people that, of course, will be able to vote.
Are you saying, Mr. Aluko, that all those PVCs that were found, some inside the bush, some inside the drainage channels, and the one that the hunter found in Inewi North, Authority FM in that state had been announcing and telling people to come and collect their PVCs? What INEC could not distribute, it was a radio station that was helping to distribute it in Anambra, having found these PVCs in the bush. How did the PVCs get to the bush in the first place?
The truth is, our PVCs are either in our offices or when they are collected at the hands of the people. We'll be seeing fantastic stories in the media. We'll be seeing all sorts of postings on the social media. And we believe that if anybody finds that, the person should report to the police. We believe that all those posting on social media they're like fantasy and they're like distractions. And at this time, at this particular time, less than 24 hours to a general election where INEC is already deploying. We're already deploying, and by tomorrow morning, by this time tomorrow morning, of course, all our polling units all over the country, 176,606 polling units will be up, will be on and functioning. So our minds are focused on opening up polling units tomorrow, and we don't want to be distracted by fantastic stories about PVCs discovered in forests by hunters that are supposed to be hunting antelopes and rabbits. Hunters should hunt the antelopes, and let us have some peace.
Okay, Mr. Ayaluko, this is very important for Nigerians. In the same way that INEC wants to conduct a free, fair and credible election, and it's focused on that, Nigerians also want to, exercise their franchise. They want to vote, and so saying that these stories are fantasies is a bit, it's a bit insensitive to many Nigerians who were unable to collect their PVCs. On a personal level, my husband and I registered at the same polling unit. I got mine. His wasn't found. It was escalated. Nothing was done about it. So it's a bit difficult to say that these stories are fantasies because these are real concerns by real people. And these cards, we saw them, except when you're saying that they are fake or perhaps they were planted in the forest. But going away, I mean, in addition to that, I'd like to also speak about certain concerns around some parties saying that they were not on the ballot boxes. For instance, in Lagos, one of the party officials had mentioned that they omitted their party logo. And I'd like you to speak to this because there's a bit of confusion around this. And Nigerians are asking, especially, of course, some of their party members, that what is really going on? Why are some party logos omitted from the ballot boxes, particularly in some certain electoral positions or positions up for elections? I'd like you to please respond to that.
Well, I personally am not aware of that there's any party logo that's omitted from any ballot paper. The ballot papers are not yet out. The ballot papers are serious, sensitive materials that will only be out tomorrow morning. So we've not received any report from the Lagos State Office of INEC about any incidents like that. The Resident Electoral Commissioner will have to, if the Resident Electoral Commissioner is aware of that, if he has already seen the ballot papers in advance, he will have to escalate it to the headquarters. And then it will have to be handled by our very, very, very top officials. I personally have not been informed that any logo of any party is missing on any particular ballot paper. Okay. But if such a thing happens, there are ways of dealing with them. The Resident Electoral Commissioner knows what to do, and will surely do the needful. Okay,
is it the same Resident Electoral Commissioner that a lot of people have tainted and said, you know what, we don't support his judgment on this election? And I'm talking about Mr. Agbaje, which gave him many petitions written as regards. In fact, I think Professor Patotomi was still here yesterday to speak as regards that. And for that report that Ayo cited, it is actually the Labour Party chairman in the states that pointed it out. So the Labour Party, state party chairman, that pointed it as how you want to look at it. So I'd like to ask you about the calls for the Resident Electoral Commissioner, Mr. Agbaje, to be reposted because people don't trust the process, with him. Secondly, the violation of, the stay by the courts, that says that MC Olomo should not be used and Lagos Parks and Garages should not be used to distribute these materials. What would you say about that? Because apparently, INEC is still in Lagos is saying they are going ahead with this, despite the stay in the court. And thirdly, I'd like to ask you, please, does INEC have a system where they verify that the INEC staff actually gave people their voter's card? Because in this INEC case, what I've been able to deduce from what you've said now is the fact that most of these voters' cards thrown into the bush are recorded probably to have been collected already, but they are in the bush. So is there a verification step that the voters' card were actually given to the people needed? And how will you reconcile that with the fact that most of INEC knows where these voters' cards were supposed to be fall under the polling units that INEC said people will not be voting in when they release that list? How do we reconcile all of that, sir?
I think you need to back up your claims with facts. Please let us desist from stories that may not be factual. Like I said, we are less than 24 hours to a general election. Let us be factual in our claims. About the Resident Electoral Commissioner in Lagos, if there are any calls for his reposting and any calls for his movement to another place, I think it's the headquarters of INEC that posted him. The commission posted him, and I don't think the commission has found any reason to find him wanting in the discharge of his duties. So please, we need to allow the Lagos State Office of INEC to work. I believe they are focused on their job to be able to perform as they are expected to perform. And of course, the commission is monitoring events in Lagos, and we believe that the elections in Lagos will be free and fair. And we know the issues in Lagos. We know the population in Lagos. We know the level of competition in Lagos. And of course, competition is good for our democracy. We have told Nigerians that we will conduct clean elections that are free and fair, elections that are credible, and that's our focus. We assure all Nigerians in Lagos that the elections in Lagos will be free and fair, the elections in Lagos will be credible. The important thing is for voters to please go to the polls tomorrow morning in Lagos, and you will be attended to cautiously, you'll be attended to quickly, and you'll be able to vote for whoever you want to vote for. About the issue of PVCs that must have been must have been collected by people that are now found in places. Once PVCs are collected from our offices, it's for the people who collected them to keep them safely. We do a lot of voter education, asking people to collect their PVCs. We also tell them to keep their PVCs safely. If anybody collected his PVC and goes to put it somewhere else, I don't think that is a problem for us in INEC. Because if anybody collects PVC and decides to go and drop his PVC anywhere or gives anybody his PVC or our PVC, then that person may not be able to vote on election day. We ask people to make good choices in terms of participation in the electoral process.
Okay.
And
okay, with due respect, sir, we don't give false information, we don't peddle falsehood. And I'm going to give you the facts and the empirical facts here. Part of the list that was released by INEC of polling units where votes will not take place because people were not there. In Anambra State, in Dimili North, Unewi North, Otolo 1, Unewi North, Udimia 1, Unewi North, Udimia 2, Unewi North, Uragu 2, Unewi North, Uragu 2. This is at Ezena Progressive Hall, Obiodogu Hall 2, Obienjio4 Hall 2, Obiezema Hall. So all of these polling units, and these are the facts I'm giving to you, sir, for the same Unewi North, that
these
those
polling...
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
Hang on a minute, sir. We can review on live television.
Hang on a minute, sir.
Hello?
This was a list that was released by INEC as published in Punch newspaper. This was a list as released by INEC that was published in Punch newspaper. You can go check it for verification. Secondly, all of these parts are Unewi North. And it is the same Unewi North that we found these facts of these PVCs.
Will you let me explain, please?
Yes, sir.
Will you INEC is not on trial here. This is live television. What I'm saying is that if anybody has facts that are quite, records that are very factual, the important thing is to present them to INEC. These are not things that can be reviewed and taken care of on live television. And INEC is not on trial. What I'm saying is if anybody finds such a thing, the important thing is to report them to the authorities. That's the thing.
Okay, Mr.
Report them to the authorities, and these things will be dealt with as they should be dealt with.
Mr. Aluko.
They will be dealt with as they should be dealt with.
Mr. Aluko, two quick things.
That's the procedure.
Mr. Aluko, two quick things. When Professor Yakubu Mamu spoke at Chatham House, when he was talking about insecurity, he talked about two tools, technological tools, apps, that INEC will be deploying prior to the elections to track and monitor election violence. Now, how does that work? Because even ahead of the elections, we have had reports of violence from Enugu, from Kano, as recently as yesterday. And I think those two tools are called EVMAT, and then the other one is ERM. So if you could shed light on that. Two, BVAS and IREV had been used previously in off-cycle elections. But those off-cycle elections are isolated cases. Now we have general election in over 176,000 polling units in 774 local governments. How prepared is INEC with regard to BVAS and IREF?
Yeah, there are two things now. You talked about the issue of election security and the issue of the BVAS machine itself. Now, about the issue of election security, of course, we have what we call election monitoring and support system. And those two tools you refer to are part of our monitoring processes for us to be able to know where violence is happening, so that we'll be able to allow the police, allow the security agencies, because it is the security agencies led by the police that deal with the issues of security. We INEC officials, INEC materials, voters, journalists, observers, we all need security on election day. Our offices need security on election day. And so we have processes to know what's happening everywhere. And so we notify the security agencies so that they can immediately take action wherever action needs to be taken. And of course, I believe the security agencies too, they also have their own monitoring mechanisms, and they will be deploying all this on election day. I want to assure Nigerians that the security agencies have assured us that they will do everything possible to protect Nigerians, do everything possible to protect all voters, protect us, and protect our materials, and that elections will be free in every locality. And we have no doubt, we have no reason to doubt the security agencies. Their own election monitoring and support systems, EMS, will enable us to monitor everything that is happening. Not only security, even the voting itself, the performance of every official, and even the performance of other stakeholders, so that whoever we need to reach out to, we will reach out to them as fast as possible. About the issue of beavers, of course, we've deployed our beavers. They are all in all our areas now, ready for deployment tomorrow, ready for further deployment tomorrow morning, ready for configuration and deployment tomorrow morning. We expect the beavers to function optimally. We have tested and tested and tested. We had mock accreditation some times ago, where we were able to test the beavers in all geographical locations in the country, in various terrains, in various weathers. And we believe that we have a firm grip on the beavers, and that the beavers will allow us to once and for all stamp out multiple voting, stamp out voter impersonation and identity theft in our country, and make our election process one man, one vote, as is done in other democracies in the world.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Victor Ayo Aluko, Director of Voter Education and Publicity, INEC. It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni join us to review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash-strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles. As long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select Loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reallocated voters from overcrowded polling units to less populated polling units. Make sure you verify your polling unit before Election Day. To verify, visit voters.inecnigeria.org. You can check using 2 options. Option 1, use your name and date of birth. Option 2, use your voter identification number, also known as VIN. You can find your VIN on your permanent voter's card. You will not be able to vote if you do not go to your correct polling unit. Making your vote count, consolidating our democracy. This message is brought to you with support from the European Union Support to Democratic Governance in Nigeria, EUSDGN program.
What is really happening in Akamata market? It seems these people don't want the election to hold.
I hope you're broadcasting to the world must hear.
No. Is that how you people share sensitive news like that without verifying it? If I may ask, which news platform published the news?
Jojo sent it though.
Jojo? Is that not the same Jojo that posted a fake election result the last time that almost caused a riot?
You know they forget something.
No. In this election season and after, one must be very careful. Or do you want to set the country on fire?
Haba.
Fake news is a threat to a free and fair election and to peace and security. So, before you share any news, check to be sure the source is credible. Check if there are supporting credible sources. Read beyond the headlines. Check the author. Check the date. Check your biases. Ask an expert or send to a fact-checking organization for confirmation. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the UK government.
When you hear the sound of credit alert, quick and easy transfer, say we want to serve you better. No be play, we go turn your business around. We are Fidelity Bank. We are Fidelity. Sure you be the person we want relax. Save your money, your girl with the serve, we know they tired. Say now your future be our concern. At Fidelity Bank. Fidelity there for you. We are here for you. We are the bank for you. It's true, do it all for you. And we go stand by you. Put your trust in us. We are the bank for you. Fidelity.
With Fidelity, we keep our word.
34 million hectares of arable land. Over 200 million people. One nation. Home to Africa's fertilizer company. Dangote Fertilizer. Pure urea fertilizer. With one single-minded passion to feed Nigeria. Every bag is a potential, an aspiration to turn this green nation into the biggest food basket of Africa. Dangote Fertilizer.
The 2023 general election is the second general election since the passage of the Not Too Young to Run Act.
About 28.6%, which is over 4,000 young candidates between 25 to 35 years of age, are contesting for various elective offices across Nigeria. These young men and women with competence, capacity, and character need your support to win.
The 2023 election is an election of rebuilding this great nation and restoring hope through our vote. Imagine a government with 30% young elected leaders with competence, capacity, and character.
It begins with one vote, your vote. These young candidates are deciding Nigeria's future today.
Our future
depends on your vote.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifene. It's the eve of Nigeria's general election.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Yes.
Good morning.
Well, I'll give you an answer at the end of this program, Rufai. Now, tomorrow is E-Day, Election Day in Nigeria, and the newspapers are reporting as such. Now, we'll start with these newspapers, Nigeria's newspaper of record, but we'll just start with the story above the masthead. Billionaire philanthropist Otedola donates engineering faculty to Augustine University, lays foundation stone for Block 2 and 3 pledges to support varsity to become #1 center of excellence in Africa. Yes, Femi Otedola, billionaire. These days, grabbing the headline, more for philanthropy than the billions he makes from his various investments. Of course, chairman of Geregu Power, as well as the biggest shareholder as well as, sorry for that glitch. Now, of course, Femi Otedola also the biggest shareholder in First Bank of Nigeria, one of the Tier 1 banks. Now, the election story. 87.2 million voters to decide a presidential race too close to call. Biden, U.S. stands with Nigeria as it charts new path to secure future. U.S., Canada, Japan, others laud signing of second peace accord. Lawan preaches peaceful polls, drum support for Tinubu. Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi endorses Atiku. Obaseki, Atiku best choice for Edo people, urges them to reject same-faith presidency. Yes, tomorrow, 87.2 million voters will troop out to vote in the various polling units across the country. And all preparations are in place. INEC said they are ready. The security agencies are saying we are ready to secure the environment for Nigerians to vote in a peaceful atmosphere. And, of course, what is left is for the voters tomorrow to do their civic duties, to carry out their civic responsibilities and pick the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria who will assume office on May 29, 2023. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, 87.2 million PVCs collected as Nigerians go to polls tomorrow. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper reporting 24 hours to go how Atiku, Tinubu, Obi Kwankwaso will share 87 million votes. It's too close to call experts. Ex-VP Asiwaju for epic battle. Popularity test for former governor Anambra State. Now, if we just look at the Guardian newspaper, federal government, yes, Nigerian decides, borders shut, INEC upbeat, Buhari in Daura as 87.2 million votes. President Muhammadu Buhari has already gone to Daura, where he will be casting his vote and also watching proceedings for the first time in the last 8 years. He was not one of the contestants. I'm sure it will be some music to his ears and pleasure to his eyes to sit down at home, relax, and watching who will emerge as his successor. Now, if we just look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper quickly, yes, 87,209,007 PVCs collected, INEC is saying. But the photograph on, yes, Lagos takes highest PVCs, Northwest remains regional lead. On collected PVCs, 6,259,229. Of course, those uncollected PVCs, I'm sure those that were picked in the bush of Anambra will also be regarded as uncollected. Well, perhaps after the election, INEC will need to investigate that further because some people must have been clearly disenfranchised because their PVCs were found in the forest by hunters. Now, the photograph, the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Yes, first commercial flight lands in Ogun Cargo Airport. Yes, the more you talked about Ogun Cargo Airport, promised by various administrations, but it has been delivered by Dakpo Abiodun, the hardworking governor of Ogun State, who is also known as the Eleyi One of Nigeria. Ruben.
That's not an official title.
No, it's not an official.
So don't promote. Don't promote.
No, but
don't
look,
do that.
Even the governor has since taken that as one of those.
He has not. Please, he has not.
That's not an official.
No, it's not an official title.
Governor of Ogun
He's
State.
he's the executive governor of Ogun State, who is doing very well. So that's what.
Don't call our governor Elaine, please. Don't call our governor Elaine.
No, okay, yes, but he's hardworking and he's delivered on the cargo project. So that is that. Now, if we look at these day reports, which we have, the lead story there, of course, in that story, it talked about how the people will vote on that day. If we just look at the first slide there, yes, of course, according to these findings, among those who vote based on religious sentiments, Obi will take up to 75% of Christian votes, while Atiku, Tinubu, and Kwankwanso will share the Muslim votes. If we look at the second slide, yes. But yesterday's endorsement, yes, by that cleric, Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi of Atiku Abubakar, yes, that influential Muslim cleric, could just make a difference for the former vice president, just as he will also benefit from voters who vote regionally, with northern voters going mainly for him. And of course, the last slide there, yes. While Tinubu and Obi will share southern votes, yes, the road to the presidency for Tinubu remains with the northwest vote. Of course, northwest, where his party, the APC, has the control. Of course, the combo of southwest votes and northwest. How well Tinubu does in the northwest, combined with the stronghold in the southwest, will just be the ticket to Aso Villa. But he has to get Buhari's votes on his side, which is proving challenging. Of course, the Buhari votes of many years, the 11 to 12 million votes Buhari can get, whether he's contesting on APP, CPC, or APC, those are guaranteed votes. Can those votes be transferred to his party's flag bearer, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu? I think that is the question. Ruben Rufai and Ayo, if we still have some time.
We don't seem to have much time. Just to note for everyone's attention that today is the first anniversary of Russia's bloody invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that has been condemned by everyone. Yesterday, the UN General Assembly voted.
If you have 141, the Times of London there.
141 countries voted to
London.
support the resolution. India and China, abstained, and 7 other countries, including Eritrea, Mali, and some other countries, North Korea, opposed it, 7 of them in all. But I think we've all agreed that the invasion of Ukraine, is a threat to global peace and the cause of democracy. But Zelensky was laying wreaths yesterday and boasting that, he's defending homeland. Anyway, we're told we've run out of time. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Efeni. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Oludotun Odubono, Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Lagos. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Enjoy 50% discount off in the Airtel Home Broadband Season of Love offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 Naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 Naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hello there. Welcome to Able to Vote Guide. Able to Vote Guide is a voter education series to increase participation of registered voters with disability and, of course, the society at large. My name is Jake Epele. I'm the CEO founder TAF Africa. Let's begin. On today's episode, we will focus on your responsibility as a voter in Nigeria. Voter responsibility are those duties and obligations in which you, as a citizen of a state, are expected to get involved to demonstrate your love, commitment, loyalty, patriotism, and selflessness to the nation. Within the electoral process, such responsibilities are as follows: responsibility to register, responsibility to vote, responsibility to conduct yourself in an orderly manner, responsibility to keep permanent voters' card safe, responsibility to enlighten others about the benefit of participation to help reduce apathy and ensure that a good number of voters participate in the process of electing their choice candidate. Remember that every person with disability participating in the electoral process has a legal right to priority voting. However, in a situation where you have lots of persons with disability in a polling unit, special queues should be maintained to quicken the process and give priority voting to persons with disability to cast their ballots with dignity and privacy. This message is coming to you from TAF Africa with funding from the European Union and support from our media partner. For more information on the activities of TAF Africa, follow us on our social media handle displayed on your screen. See you on the next episode. I remain yours truly, Jake Epele. Bye.
This our landlord and his wife happy fight for Africa, sha. Chai.
No mind the man. With that in nose like our Market Square Junction.
Hey, whoa.
Una don't start this now gossiping again, Abi. Okay. Una mates there at Akamata Community Square. They sell their votes to politicians for cool 5K. Una sit down here, the mumu una safe. It's alright.
Omo, make we sef go collect our own cash.
Collect waiting. God forbid. So you want to sell the next 4 years of your life for 5K, Abi? Well done. You sabi say this 5K now 4 naira per day for the next 4 years. Make una get sense now. Haba.
Na nonsense una dey talk. Make month end reach, make una no pay me my rent. Na that time una go see fire. Make una no dey listen to people like this landlord. Election no be business. Na your civic duty to your country to help elect the correct leaders them. We go fit create better life for us and no go get future for our children. Make you no sell your vote. Cause if you sell your vote, na your future you don't sell be that. This message now from the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Ahead of the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has enjoined all citizens to shun vote buying, vote selling, hate speech, misinformation and disinformation, snatching of ballot boxes and other criminal acts, as the force and other security agencies will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that all violators of extant laws, most especially the Electoral Act of 2022 as amended, are brought to book. The IGP also ordered the restriction of vehicular movement across the country with the inclusion of security aides and escorts from accompanying their principals and politicians to polling booths and collation centers during the elections. He explained that the move became necessary so as to ensure a secure environment for the 2023 elections and the management of law and order. Joining us now from the state headquarters, Ikeja, Lagos, for a chat on the Nigerian police security deployment for tomorrow's election, especially in Lagos, is Oludotun Udubano, Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, Lagos. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Lagosians. I'm honored to be here this morning.
Okay, Mr.
On behalf of my Commissioner of Police, Mr. Idowu Owonwa, I welcome you all to the program.
Well, Mr. Odubono, thank you for joining us. Quickly, how prepared is the Lagos State Police Command? How many men will you be deploying for this, security operation tomorrow? And beyond that, from your preparation so far, what are the likely hotspots that you have identified in Lagos State? And what is the level of preparation to make sure that those hotspots are properly manned?
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. Let me quickly roll out the action plan that the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Police Command, has earmarked for the people of Lagos. It is divided into 3 portions. That is the pre-election plan, during election itself, and post-election plans. So let me quickly go to pre-election plans, which all of us are witnesses to. It started with the provision of security for the collection of PVCs all over Lagos. And we are all witnesses that it went each free. At least there was no security challenge during that period where we were collecting PVCs all over Lagos. And then the next one was the provision of enough security for rallies and campaigns all over Lagos. And that was also done successfully. And then the third one was the level of identifying all the polling units that are within Lagos State Police Command. From our records and the records of what INEC gave the Lagos State Police Command, we have over 13,000 polling units all over Lagos. To be precise, we were given 13,325 polling units. And the DPOs, whose jurisdictions these polling units reside, have been directed by the Commissioner of Police to ensure they go and identify physical identification of all these polling units so as to know how to plan for the deployment of men for the polling units. You asked a question that how many policemen have been mobilized. We have over 22,000 policemen that have been mobilized for this duty, for deployment. But if you look at the number of the polling units that is necessary to be covered, you will see that if we use policemen alone to cover these polling units, we have less to go on patrol. We have less to man the entry and exit point of Lagos State. We will have less to enforce the restriction of movement and those that will be patrolling the city during the election. And so that is why the Commissioner of Police sourced for collaboration with other sister agencies, which includes the military, the immigration, the civil defense, the custom, the correctional services, fire services, road safety, NDLEA, and so on and so forth. They are all involved in collaborating with us for this election. You will notice that I mentioned only federal government security agencies, because these are the only people saddled with the protection and monitoring of elections for the nation. And so after that, we have had trainings with the INEC. INEC officials, with all security agencies, they have come. We have had trainings before this election to see what is expected of the security agencies during this election. And then we went on to, the Commissioner of Police went on to organizing a workshop for all stakeholders that are involved in the elections. That is the INEC, the security agencies, all political parties that sent their representatives were in that workshop that day, and all the citizens of Lagos State, which included Market Women Union, Student Union, different union leaders were represented. All the stakeholders were represented during that workshop, which was organized by the Commissioner of Police. And so these are some of the things that were put in place as action plan before the election. And we all know that today is just the eve of the election, which is coming up tomorrow. Let me use this opportunity to announce that we will start enforcing the restricted movement by 000 hours of today running into Saturday. So by 0001 hours of tomorrow in the morning, restriction of movement will be enforced. And we have armed men at strategic areas that will enforce. But to all laws, there are some people that will be exempted from these. Those are the emergency callers like the ambulances, the fire trucks, even the accredited media personnel by INEC will be having a free day to move to monitor. We have some people outside Nigeria, like ECOWAS, that are already in Nigeria, the European Union, that are independent electoral monitoring. They will also be given a free movement during this period so as to be able to monitor the election properly and give their report afterwards. And so when we come to the election proper itself right now, about 2 days ago, CP, my Commissioner of Police, mobilized enough armed men for the escort of sensitive materials. We are following the timetable of the INEC, and they call for these men for the escort. And over 250 armed mobile policemen were provided for the 20 local governments that we have in Lagos State Command. And some of these men escorted this sensitive material to the local government rec, and they will remain there until such sensitive material will be distributed to wards and polling units. So they are there to maintain proper security of these sensitive materials at the different local governments. And they are already there and waiting for distribution by tomorrow morning, or when INEC decides to make distribution to the wards and the units. And all the men mobilized, even from our sister agencies, they have been directed by the Commissioner of Police that by today, 24 hours before the election, they must move to the local government where they are, so that as to be close to their polling units, to their wards, so that as soon as the sensitive material are being moved to the wards and the polling units, they will also be in the company of such materials to escort them to their different polling units. We also had, I forgot to mention that we also had a workshop concerning how to take care of people living with disabilities. Because in the past, they have noticed that they don't consider them as with their level of disability, that they are disenfranchised because they don't have the ability to, struggle with people on queues and the rest. So INEC has decided to create a different queue for people living with disabilities. And that has been included in our operation orders. And policemen that are mandated for these election duties has also been instructed and ordered to ensure that they watch over such queue that is meant for people living with disabilities so that they will not be disenfranchised. And so during the election also, we will have people that will be, checking and searching people that will be going into polling units to ensure that they are not coming in with any form of,
Mr. Odubana, just hang on a minute. We've got more questions to ask. Ayo, please.
Yes. Thank you very much for the detailed breakdown thus far. I just wanted to ask as well, because you didn't mention in terms of or addressing the concerns of some Nigerians as to the conduct of the policemen themselves. So in terms of being non-partisan, ensuring that they're able to stay neutral on election day and not try to manipulate the process, as we've seen in previous elections. What are the measures that have been taken by the police force to prevent this? And also, are there reporting channels for civilians themselves to report any infractions by the policemen themselves, police officers or security officials at polling units?
Yes. I know with questions that more revelations will come. The conduct of the policemen, we are guided by the electoral laws, and the Inspector General of Police have been magnanimous enough to ensure that the laws and guidance of police for the elections were given to every police officer. Every police officer on duty that day should have one of that guidelines in their pockets, because it has been shared to every police officer in the whole nation. And Lagos State is not isolated for that. And they've been warned, even just yesterday, the DIG that is in charge of Southwest was in a meeting with all the DPOs, all the area commanders, all the MOPO commanders, and even some commanders and officers were changed from where they are at their different locations, just to have somebody that is not biased in any way for any form of election. Maybe some DPOs, area commanders, even squadron commanders, were shoveled, and some that are not even in Lagos were brought in. They started arriving since Monday and Tuesday. They are already on ground. The MOPO squadron commanders that we had in Lagos, that are actually the Lagos command, have been moved to different commands all over Nigeria. So the ones we have on ground now, they are just fresh people that do not even know, maybe must have had previous knowledge of politicians in Lagos or the rest. So these are some of the things to show that we are not partisan in any way, in any form, to say we want to favor one party or the other. Nigerian Police Force, we are not partisan. Our own party is MPF. So we belong to no political party.
You didn't ask the second part of it, which is in terms of are there reporting channels? So if citizens who go to the polling unit see a policeman in infraction, where can they report? How can they report?
Okay, we have 4 control rooms in Lagos. If you like, I can read out some of the numbers of the 4 control rooms so that citizens can have it. That's the point where we can have reports made, and immediately the heads and the supervising officers of those areas will be, his attention will be called so that they can attend to any form of complaint against any police conduct.
Okay, so as we wrap up, just quickly give us those numbers.
I can read out some of these numbers.
Yes, just give us the numbers, please.
Okay, control room numbers for control 3, we have 080 63299 264.
206 what?
Did you get that?
No, call it again, please.
080 6329 9264.
Okay.
Still on control 3, there's another number for control 3. 081 27 155 071. Did you get that?
Call it again, please.
081 27 155 071.
Okay.
For control 2, we have 080 6515
0 what?
43 080
Yes.
6515 4338.
Okay.
That's for the second control room. The third control room, we have 081 2715 5150. Did you get that, or you want it repeated?
Please repeat.
081 2715 5150. So the last control room number is 080 3934 4870.
Okay.
080 3934 4870.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Well, Mr. Dubono.
So these are the 4 control rooms number that we have in Lagos State Police Command. And immediately you call any of these numbers, you make your complaint, they will know the supervising officer within the area that you have complained, and it will be attended to very quickly.
Mr. Dubono, you said these are numbers for the Lagos Police Command. You said these are numbers for the Lagos Police Command. Sir. But I recall that before now, the police headquarters had announced Police Rescue Me. That if you just type Police Rescue Me on your phone, on your mobile phone, help will come your way. Is the Lagos State Police Command also following that Police Rescue Me, or you are disregarding that? You are relying only on your own numbers?
No, we are not disregarding that. We also have a room that is the ICT room that is connected to that. But I don't know how many people will have access to that. If they have access to that, we can be reached through that also. I'm just giving basic numbers that every market woman, every person on the street can easily reach. Because with that one, you need data, you need to be connected to internet for you to be able to do that. So in case you cannot be connected to internet, these are just numbers that you can reach very quickly, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dubono, for joining us on the morning show. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Mike Igine, former INEC resident commissioner for Akwa Ibom State. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Every day, life presents hopes, dreams, and challenges. Challenges that can become successes with a little help. Because a little help can empower you to go from despair to celebration. A little help can keep you going until the race is won. A little help can turn bundles of anxiety into a bundle of joy. And with Glow Data, you get much more than just a little help. You get the biggest data deals in town to make every day glow with small wins and big wins. Dial *777# to select your Glow Data plan.
My name is Abdurrashid Bawa, the Executive Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I want to use this medium to urge all Nigerians to eschew all manner of electoral fraud, either through vote buying, vote selling, or fraudulent manipulations of electoral processes. I'm fully persuaded that we can run our electioneering processes devoid of any form of criminality. Let us all be committed to a free, fair, and credible dealings in the exercise of our democratic rights. Thank you.
Report any electoral fraud to the following numbers. You can also send any relevant information to info@efcc.gov.ng or to all our social media platforms @official EFCC. Also, use the EFCC mobile app, the Eagle Eye, to report. Your vote is your power. Protect it.
All right, welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. It's less than 24 hours to the February 25th presidential and National Assembly elections. The elections that is projected to have a high vote turnout, I should say. So what should be the key closing message to stakeholders like INEC, electorate candidates, and security operatives at the last few moments of the election? For tips on last-minute election preparation, what stakeholders must know before heading to the polls and during voting, we are now joined by Mike Ikini, former INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner for Akwa Ibom State. I mean, what should people know really about vote buying and all of that, coupled with what we just heard about some arrests being made already and people trying to manipulate elections and buy votes and all of that? You know, what should the voters themselves know, the basic things? Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Rufai, Dr. Abati, and Elsie. But first and foremost, as part of my closing engagement with Arise Television and other stations that have provided the opportunity for us to educate Nigeria, is to thank the management of Arise, particularly our chairman, the Duke of Data, for making this platform available since last year. Now, we have less than 24 hours to the very all-important elections that we are going to have in our country. We are very optimistic, and as I've said before, that optimism is natural to human beings, based on what we have on ground at the moment. First, the first thing that people need to know is for all Nigerians with your permanent voters card to go to cvr.admin.inec Nigeria, and it will take you straight to your polling unit where you are going to vote. Please identify that first. Number two is that this election, whether on the basis of 93.5 million registered or on the basis of 87.2 PVC collected, that we cannot be too sure on account of some of the things we have found in some places with PVC. What is important is that at the end of the election, in each of the 176,606 polling units where this election will take place, it is at the end of the poll, a new register, I repeat, a new register will emerge of that particular polling unit, showing those who actually came and accredited by virtue of Section 51 of the 2022 Act that repealed the rigging provision of Section 53 of the 2010 Act. So don't worry yourself about the total number of those on the register. Don't worry yourself about those who collected PVC. What is now important because we cannot really give an account anymore. I mean, you see what happened in the Navy, in other areas, how they got this PVC and all of that. And of course, people in those areas, the staff from the office of the commission there, we have electoral officers, they must give account. That is a matter for another day. But what is clear for Nigerian people is that at the end of the poll, there will be a new register in each polling unit. Furthermore, which are clear matters today as I close on this Presidential and National Assembly election, it is that this election is going to be on its own class. And that is that power has been returned to Nigerian people. The Nigerian people is now on the center of our democracy, who are going to make the decision, because candidates who have been campaigning are from tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the day of Nigerian people to make that decision, because the candidates are now at the periphery of election day process in Nigeria on account of what has been developed. Number two, it is that this election is going to be a different one in the sense that the beavers, contrary to what people hear, is a real game changer. There's no room anymore for sharing of unused ballot. Beavers and ended the fraudulent practice, the organized crime at polling unit of sharing unused ballot. No more unused ballot. The beavers has enthroned the principle of one person, one vote. Number three, at the end of the poll, the image of the Form EC8A will not be snapped with the beavers like a PDF. You cannot alter it. It will be uploaded live. It is expected by now, Dr. Abati, that all candidates, political parties have set up their situation room so that their party agent can commence immediately the process of sending to their respective situation room every result that will be uploaded and duplicate given to party. Remember, this election, just as you do what you call a bimodal process of accreditation, you also do what you call a dual process of collation. What they will send and what is going to be manually, because Form EC8A duplicates will be given for every party agent, in which case the party are likely to even see the result of the election. Nigeria generally, you are going to see polling unit by polling unit result. There will be no tension at all. All right. The challenge before us now, Rufai, is that you have the law, you have processes. Processes and laws are not self-executory. They require human beings to do so. Where we are is with respect to the secured environment.
Mr.
I am
Gini.
very delighted.
Yes, Mr. Gini, thank you. We have a very short time this morning, as you would imagine. But I just wanted to touch on a bit further the beavers. So whilst we had the Director of Voter Education and Publicity join us earlier today, and I talked about the fact that beavers was a game changer. So it was going to totally do away with overvoting. However, then people are quick to cite the Osun example. How do we prevent such scenarios from happening again, despite this, and you have also said, your strong dependence or strong faith in beavers to eliminate any type or form of overvoting. How will we prevent an Osun situation?
Essay, on this program, we have spoken about beavers over and over again. And I was very clear that attempts to want to discredit a major technology had failed woefully. Beavers have been used for over 105 elections. Nothing has happened. Whatever they say about Osun, I'm sure that by the time the Court of Appeals of the Supreme Court finally take a decision, that will be clear. So some of the views we have expressed with respect to that will be very clear. The beavers, there is nothing anybody can do. And I've said, riverine area, anywhere, upland where you talk all of that, it is compulsory, everybody must go. I think that the area we should be focusing on this morning as quickly as possible, because we should deal with that. Not politicians commit, of course, campaigns have ended, all right? Now, is the fact that security is very key here. The Inspector General of Police is the head, is the lead agency for this exercise. And I'm very delighted that yesterday he read out the operational order, the operational order is very important. And on this program, I told Nigerians, having been part of those who delivered the lecture on the 2023 election security in Imo State, where the president he came and present, to the fact that as from on tomorrow, of course, the operational order will start at from 12 midnight to tomorrow 6 p.m. What is important, and the president is going to lead that tomorrow. You remember I told you on this program that 48 hours to the election, 24 hours to the election, that there is something that has to be done, and they have commenced already. The president will go to the polling unit with just his orderly and minimal security in his wherever he's voting. No VIP movement, very important. If we're able to deal with VIP movement, the 98% of our problem will be resolved. So tomorrow, as already directed, I'm just reinforcing, re-echoing what has been said. Any VIP, whether you are a governor, you are a senator, you are a House of Rep, once you vote, after voting, you go back to your home. You already have your agent at polling unit, at ward, at all levels. There's no room for what we call political experience, moving from one place to another. That must not happen. This election, Dr. Abati, the decision that I'm going to make tomorrow is very important for the future of this country. It's so important that all of you going out there tomorrow, have it in mind that no matter the shenanigans that you hear about, nothing will change your will.
Well,
Power
Mr.
is back to you.
Mr. Igene, there is a major issue that I would like to address. You recall that in previous elections, we had cases of political parties complaining about their logo being omitted from the ballot paper. In 2019, Labour Party in Ogun State complained. All Grassroots Alliance complained. I think Hope Democratic Party also complained. So we've had cases like that in the past. This time around, the Labour Party in Lagos State is complaining that the party logo has been omitted from the papers from the ballot papers for National Assembly elections. And they are saying that this is unacceptable. After all, Section 79 of the Electoral Act recognizes symbols of political parties. Is this an indication that INEC has not learned from the past? And secondly, what remedy is available to the Labour Party ahead of the elections or after?
Dr. Abati, that would be very strange because, of course, this allegation about just maybe it's a one-off thing. If it's a one-off thing, where we take it that in any activity that involves human being, perfection can be out of it, but it's expected that that should not happen. If that is the case, immediately that should be escalated to the commission. But in any case, how were they able to see? You know, I mean, I'm not going to doubt anybody right now because I saw it from video make it around, and I've asked with some people in the commission, they have not even seen the ballot. So I don't know if for any reason they have seen the ballot and it's an issue already seen where a stone seen coming should not blind the eye. It is for the commission to quickly, as much as possible, to ensure that that is done. But again, Dr. Abati, very quickly here, it is that this election is going to be decided by the youth of Nigeria. We want to see whether they are going to betray the challenge and the expectation of their own time, because 70-something plus million of 93 are youth. All those who are going to man the polling unit, Dr. Abati, 707,000 out of the 1 million, they are going to be youth of this country. Therefore, we want to see those of us are from 50 years and above. We can only go there and vote. The future of this country right now, tomorrow's election is in their hand. Far more important is the provision of Section 134, subsection 2B of the Constitution. It is to say, it to the fact that no presidential candidate can be declared a winner in this election without having 25% in the Federal Capital Territory. That is very important for the whole world to know that tomorrow's election, wherever to be finally declared, apart from having 25% in 24 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, The Federal Capital Territory is like a compulsory question. You can answer all that question. But Federal Capital Territory, without having 25%, you go nowhere. This is important. And finally, the broad outline of the 21st century, Dr. Abati, is clear. It offers opportunity for people who can work together, live together, and give not only to themselves, but their future generations, whose faces we are yet to see, whose name we may never know, who through a democratic process, in a free, fair, and credible election, will be able to give not only to themselves, but future generation, whose faces we are yet to see, whose name we never know, all of whom must say that in our own time, we did what was necessary.
On that note,
wish Nigeria
on that note, Mr. Igene, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Ojinika will be here with details on what's trending. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not, nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money Wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money Wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and in check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money Wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money Wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN, and when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money Wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money Wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
In an effort to reduce overcrowding and ensure stress-free voting experience on election day, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has moved voters from overcrowded polling units to less congested ones within the same location. All eligible voters can visit cvr.inecnigeria.org/VVS or voters.inecnigeria.org to confirm the polling unit where their names appear on the voters register to vote on election day. Also note that the list of eligible voters in each of the 176,846 polling units will be physically displayed at each polling unit nationwide before the day of election. INEC is therefore encouraging all eligible voters to verify their polling unit using the various options before they go and vote on election day. This message is brought to you by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the Center for Democracy and Development (CDD), with support from the Osiwa Africa Foundation.
It's never just your dream, but also of those close to you. It's never just your hustle, but also of those who believe in you. It's never just your disappointment, but also of those who share your hopes. It's never just your ambition, but also of those who have faith in you. Which is why it's never your success alone, but also of those who stood by you.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business, we vote. Vote is the answer. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Vote is the answer. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business, we vote.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Esther, you're late again. Esther?
She's a wandering light in the darkness. She's beautiful. Oh, she's a superstar.
Morning, Esther.
She never let her mama down. She's beautiful. She know the fear. She know they ever got a hand for her.
No phones at the table, please. Esther? I love you too.
Got everything? Don't forget I'll pick you at 4.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Nigerians, the 2023 Nigeria General Elections is here. Ensure that you have your PVC and locate your polling unit as you set out to vote. At your polling unit, queue and present your PVC for accreditation by INEC. On receipt of the ballot paper, vote discreetly for the candidate of your choice. Remember, there are standards of behavior required of voters on election day, and violators may be arrested. No buying and selling of votes. No intimidation or coercion of voters. No canvassing for votes, shouting of party slogans, or display of party symbols at polling units. Nigerians, the time has come to exercise your franchise. Turn out in full and cast your vote for the candidate of your choice. This message is brought to you by Policy and Legal Advocacy Centre, PLAC, with support from the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Ojinika Ojiokwe, with stories trending around the world. Hello, Junix.
Happy Friday.
Yes,
Good morning, Dr.
I see
Abati.
you're wearing
Representing, of course. I got the memo. It's just one day to the elections, just one day. Everyone go out and vote. Ayo, good morning. Happy Friday. Oji, how are you doing? Happy Friday. Perfect. You look great and very patriotic Yes. and green. Good morning. How are you? Good morning, Rufai.
You look
Ojinika.
We got the memo. What is it?
Do you have PVC and are you voting in Lagos or in Kwale?
I'll be in Kwale, maybe Kwale. Guess what? I have to travel to Kwale like Muhammadu Buhari did, you know? My hometown. Well, all right. Good morning. Rufai. All right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, President Joe Biden on Thursday released a statement commending Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on his commitment to a free and fair election, while praising the 18 presidential candidates participating in the 2023 general election for signing a peace accord ahead of the polls. Following Biden's statement, U.S. Consul General in Lagos, Nigeria, Will Stevens, speaking in Pidgin English in a video message, urged Nigerians to go out to vote on Saturday, February 25th, in an election that many have said is too close to call, with 4 leading candidates.
Election this year, now February 25. America no get candidates for this election, and we no get party where we like pass. This chance where una get mean say you suppose put body for this election. No waiting day and no cause any yawa on the election day. God go bless Nigeria. God go bless America. Safe journey.
while the U.S. Special Advisor on International Disability Rights, Sarah Minkara, sent a message to Nigeria about ensuring an inclusive electoral process.
We know that in order for our country to achieve its full prosperity and potential, we need to make sure that we're including everyone, including everyone's voices and perspective and value, and that includes persons with disability.
Then, disgraced film producer Harvey Weinstein on Thursday was sentenced to 16 more years in prison after a jury convicted him of rape and sexual assault of an Italian actor and model, furthering the fall of the one-time movie mogul who became a Me Too magnet. The prison term, along with the 23 years he received in 2020 for a similar conviction in New York, amounts to a likely life sentence for the 70-year-old. Weinstein has maintained his innocence.
Lift me up, hold me down.
Finally, under entertainment, Rihanna will follow up her soaring Super Bowl halftime show with a performance at the Super Bowl of movies, the Oscars. Producers of the telecast said on Thursday that the music superstar will sing Lift Me Up, a song co-written by Nigerian Grammy Award-winning singer Thames and director Ryan Coogler from the blockbuster sequel Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Lift Me Up, which was produced by Ludwig Göransson, is nominated for Best Original Song, and it's Rihanna's first Oscar nomination.
Keep me close, safe and sound.
Well, let's begin what's trending. As Nigerians prepare to go to the polls tomorrow to elect a new president in an election that many have said is too close for call, with 4 leading candidates and with many showing concern over a possible re-election of the governing All Progressives Congress, the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wiki, has condemned those rooting for the APC in a video message to Nigerians.
People declaring for APC, saying that they want to continue the good job of Mr. President, the good job of people dying every day, the good job of Naira falling every day. I feel so ashamed that we have gotten to the level where sacrificing, people will come and say, look, I want to continue the good job of Buhari. What is the good job of Buhari? Of hunger is a good job. Of poverty is a good job. Of insecurity is a good job. Of the economy falling is a good job. It's such a shameful thing. I can't believe that somebody will come out in today's Nigeria and say, I want to continue where Mr. Buhari has stopped. May God forgive. May God never allow that people to continue to.
Dr. Abati, I mean, this came as a surprise, really, because, you know, I mean, we all know that Wiki has been at loggerheads with his party, and he has maintained, you know, that he's an unrepentant PDP member. Only on Monday, he was talking to traditional rulers, and he said that he also, well, this actually is an old video as well, but on Monday, he said that the APCs are the heroes of Nigeria. Let's take a look at that video really quickly before we come back for a discussion.
I'm not a member of APC, and I will not be. But they have made me to recognize that they are the heroes of this country. By them coming out to say, look, the governors came and said, look, for the unity of this country, that presidency should go to the South. The governors of APC said, look, for the unity of this country, the way the country is today, they want the unity of this country, and therefore the presidency should go to the South. They would have as well said, no, it doesn't matter. As governors, we have the number. We can still say it will remain where it should remain. But they didn't do that. They said, no. The way we are seeing this country, we want everybody to be together. Let no one say, because I have the population, and therefore you will continue to dominate. In dominating, you need peace. Without peace, you cannot govern.
Well, Dr. Batty, there you go, Governor Wiki, always contradicting himself.
Well, I mean, the only thing you can accuse him of is that maybe on the question of his choice, he's been inconsistent. But like everyone else, Governor Nyesom Wiki has just one vote because this election is one man, one vote. And he has made his own political choices again and again, and it's up to him. I think we are a bit handicapped because you recall that the National Broadcasting Commission had already drawn the attention of broadcasters to the broadcasting code at sections 5.3.3 from N to L, saying that during this election, you know, we cannot make any, you don't know what you say, that would be considered partisan. But what is safe to say is that Governor Wiki has one vote like everyone else.
Yes, absolutely.
And he can do what he likes with his PVC. Even as governor, even with immunity under Section 308, he cannot vote twice. Otherwise, his vote will be cancelled.
Absolutely.
So it's up to him to make his choice.
Absolutely. All right, then should we take another story? The indigenous people of Biafra on Thursday debunked claims that the group have boycotted the elections taking place on Saturday and have declared a sit-at-home in the southeast. Emma Powerful, the group's spokesman, said the group did not and would not order a sit-at-home during the polls in the geopolitical zone, and that those calling for a sit-at-home were not working for the group, further stating that their intention is to create the groundwork for the international community to view IPOB as being against the democratic process and to provide them with the excuse to clamp down on the activities of IPOB. However, a video that made the rounds on social media showed a group of young men carrying the Biafra flag and chanting, "No election in Biafra land." Let's take a look at that video. Well, IPOB's statement is coming as a controversial factional leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Simon Ekpa, was on Thursday arrested at his home in Finland. Ekpa, who is a Finnish citizen of Nigerian origin, was arrested for allegedly using social media to incite violence. He is also alleged to have ordered a sit-at-home in the southeast to boycott the elections. Ekpa has denied any links to the killings and violence in the southeast region of Nigeria, insisting that the offenses were carried out by the Nigerian government. Ekpa has since been released after being questioned. It is not clear if he has been charged with any offense. Ayo, over to you on the story.
All right, so this is, it's still a developing story in terms of, like you mentioned, he has been brought in for a question. That's Simon Ekpa, going back to the last story. But in terms of him being charged, however, let me touch on what he said, that it's the Nigerian government and he hasn't incited violence. Yes. He's been known, and he's quite infamously so, for making videos telling, whilst he's seated in Finland and in a government that works, and where he's enjoying the democracy that he tries to scuttle here in Nigeria, telling people to sit at home, addressing Biafrans in the southeast. And so for me, this talks about or demonstrates the importance of what politicians say and its effect on their followers, and not being able to remove themselves from the consequences and saying that I didn't, it wasn't my fault, I was just speaking as a citizen. A few days ago, we were talking about the video with former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole. Yes. And the fact that we talked about, especially at this time when the politics is quite heated, for politicians and leaders, sectional leaders like Simon Ekpa, to be careful as to what they say as the consequence. What I do hope would happen is that as Nigerians are calling for his repatriation so he can be questioned back home, and if found guilty can be charged. I think that would be a responsible thing in terms of Finland working with the Nigerian government so that it can act as a deterrent to individuals who are doing this abroad for Nigerians at home.
All right, Rufai, your take on this story.
I mean, it's very sad, and I'm also going to extend to some other things. Please just permit me, because I got a very, very painful message just this morning.
Okay.
As regards that PVC in the Navy. So, Simon Ekpa, it is sad that people just stay abroad and incite violence here. And it is sad that Mr. Simon Ekpa is talking that people should not vote in an election. But he is a local councillor in Finland, representing a certain political party. He believes in the democratic process in Finland, but he's tearing Nigeria apart from where he is as a local councillor. So you can see the hypocrisy of people for their own selfish gain. And that's why we must rise beyond this, give peace a chance, and he must face the full wrath of the law for all the things he said. Because you are inciting people, people are being killed because of you here. You are saying no to democracy, no to elections, but you are holding a political position in Finland, an elected position as a local councillor, I think in the state, in the area called Latte or something, which is really very sad. Moving further, somebody just sent me a message talking about the fact that INEC should really come to explain a lot of things, because he said his PVC was part of those found in the bush. And he said that he had tried constantly, made frantic efforts to get his PVC. He didn't get his PVC, only for the announcement to be made that PVC were found in the bush, and his PVC was part of those found in the bush. And that's why INEC has a lot of questions to answer. And he's really very irate. He said if not for anything, he would have liked to sue INEC, but they would have just seen him as a busybody. And I just had to put that in place while talking about this. That's why we should make our electoral process clean. But please, Simon Ekpa should stop all of this that they are doing out there, to incite people against each other. It just shows the hypocrisy. He is in Finland, a local councillor, was elected, has a democratic position, but you can see what he's doing.
Absolutely. Dr. Bati.
Okay, what is important here? The story about the arrest of Simon Ekpa by the Finnish authorities first came out more than a week ago, and then it was denied. Only for yesterday afternoon for us to be told that he had been arrested, and he was invited for questioning and later released. He's a leader of a faction of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, IPOB. And now, what we should note is as follows. One, IPOB has issued statements twice through Emma Powerful, his spokesperson, to say that IPOB is not asking people to sit at home. Emma Powerful, in a statement yesterday, said that those who are calling for sit at home in the Southeast, they are criminals and they should be so treated.
Right.
It's not only IPOB that has disassociated itself from the sit at home. MASOB, Movement for the Survival of Biafra, has also issued a statement. Alaibo Development Union has issued a statement. Ohaneze Ndigbo has issued a statement. Aka Ikenga has issued a statement. All these are, groups in the Southeast calling the people out to say, go and vote.
Yes.
What Simon Ekpa has done in the statement, in the video that was credited to him, is that he said from February 24, there should be no movement in the whole of the Southeast. And not just the whole Southeast. He drew a map from Agbo to Ugeli, to Uyo, to Eket, to Calabar, to Ahoda, to Bayelsa. I mean, I'm sure people from the South, they will be amused. They'll say, oh, the Biafra that Simon Ekpa wants, he wants to include non-Igbos in his own Biafra, which was a major problem during the Civil War, during the first declaration of Biafra. So what is important is that the international community has an obligation to help Nigeria to ensure that nobody causes any kind of tension or violence as we go into this election. The Canadian authorities, the British, the Americans, they've said anybody who tries anything would be denied access to their countries, will be denied visa. Now, does that include Nigerians in diaspora? Although he's a Finnish citizen, Nigeria allows dual nationality, but I think the Finnish authorities should also, under international protocols, not allow their territory to be used by anybody to compromise this very important process in Nigeria. And commendation to all those other groups in the Southeast who have spoken up to say that Igbos are part of this.
Absolutely.
And that what IPOB is pursuing is different from this Nigerian project that all of us are committed to.
like that. Well said, Dr. Abati. Let's take another story. Supporters of the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwanso, on Thursday were attacked, allegedly by supporters of the All Progressives Congress during a roadshow organized to canvass for votes for the NNPP flag bearer. 7 people are feared to have died following the attack. One of the victims in the attack was set ablaze after he was accused of killing 3 persons. The spokesperson of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps said that the 63 persons arrested were found with dangerous weapons, disrupting public peace, burning vehicles, and snatching handsets from people. The All Progressives Congress have denied claims that their party supporters were involved in the attacks and have condemned the act. Well, I'm glad that the APC has come out to say that they are not involved in this whole mess. But why is it that this has to happen? And why do they always have to point at the APC, Ayo?
This is a big question.
I don't understand it.
Oji, do you know the reason why this keeps happening? Because there are no consequences when this happened. What happened after the Lagos incident? What happened after we discussed this on the show? A number of people highlighted this. We asked for there to be arrests. There were faces that were shown on screen. There were people who made allegations. Nothing seemed to be done. And so when there are no deterrents, when we have issues like this in pockets of society, it would continue. Just to take on Rufai, the unfortunate thing is that it will happen again, as Rufai would say. But it's very sad. And I do commiserate with the NNPP for the loss of some of their members. But I hope that the best way we can honor their memory is to investigate this and ensure that those who are behind this are brought to the book. Aside from that, we'll continue to see this in Nigeria.
Absolutely. We shall take our final story so we can discuss all. Well, ahead of the elections on Saturday, the Nigerian police force has unveiled their official attire for police officers that will be deployed to provide security during the elections. Well, in a video shared by the public relations officer of the police, female police officers could be seen warming up and chanting a chorus as they prepare for the polls. Let's take a look. Ginger, Dr. Abati, I love this place.
Very entertaining, and the uniform looks nice. But why are these female police officers looking so well fed?
Dr. Abati.
I thought that our usual complaint is that too many policemen have pot bellies. I didn't know that the female policemen too have their own. I mean, look at that, very well fed. I hope they are not from the catering section of the Nigerian police, but wherever they are from, I hope that all policemen and other security officials would do what is expected of them, which is to protect the vote.
Absolutely.
And to go back to the Kwankwansia people on the streets, I hope the leadership of Kwankwansia, will address the youth wing of the party, since they say they are Kwankwansia, that the major tool in this election tomorrow is not sticks.
Yes.
It's PVC.
It's PVC.
Yeah, it's not carrying stick all over the place. And nobody should carry a stick near any polling unit. And you are not allowed to wear any form of party emblem when you go to vote tomorrow. It's good that the civil defense managed to arrest 63 people. But what happened to the police? Are they not in the streets of Kano to prevent any kind of violence? I think it's important that Kano is properly manned.
Absolutely.
Just as we have been told that people have been mobilized to protect Lagos.
Yes.
With trucks of
this is what I was going to say. Only
Lagos.
yesterday we saw those videos circulating of trucks of military men. I mean, what is this? The armored tank in Lagos. You saw that.
I mean, I saw it, but they'll tell you it's a show of force. But I also want, importantly, the show of force to be across all parts of the country. Because if this show of force was going on in Kano, the mayhem and the madness that happened in Kano will not have happened. As I heard, they were carrying sticks and machetes and things like that. I knew it was a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
And it happened yesterday. Please, we must not hear about massive election violence in Kano. Please, the army and everybody should go and show force too in Kano. It's really very important. Kano has always been a hotbed.
But it's the police that is supposed to man the elections. You see,
and the police are supposed to man the elections. They are the primary institution for this election.
Very well
Army is
said.
just to give support there.
Absolutely.
Let's have free and fair elections. Nigerians, do the best for your country. Go out and vote the candidate of your choice. Bless you, bless Nigeria, bless us all.
Thank you all for your great analysis as always. Ayo, I hope you're going to vote Rufai. Dr. Abati, you put me on the spot. I hope I see you at the polls tomorrow. Nigerians, go out and vote tomorrow. That's all I have for you on What's Trending. I'll see you all next week.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show. Rochus Odiri will be here next to take you through Global Business Report. Stay with us. It's TDRI's news channel.
Are you a dealer in cars, jewelry, precious metals and stones and luxury goods? Are you into real estate or are you an estate agent, surveyor, valuer, developer or broker? Are you into the hospitality industry, lottery business or are you a mortgage broker, tax consultant or an accountant? Do you have a supermarket, pools betting and consulting or construction company? If you have, go and obtain your certification from the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SCUMOL, and be free to do your business within the ambits of the law. SCUMOL has the responsibility to monitor, supervise, and regulate the activities of designated non-financial business and professions, DNFBPs, across the country. Please note that the SCUMOL certificate is not a guarantee of legitimacy of any business. To register, visit www.scumol.org. For collection of certificate, visit any EFCC office nearest to you. Remember, registration is free.
SCUMOL, securing Nigeria's business environment. This message is from Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
Just stop it. You stop it. Hey there, you are so stopping it. Our currency is our pride. Let's all treat it well. Let's handle it with care and respect. Remember the cashless policy. So reduce your cash transactions by using e-Naira, POS terminals, the ATM, and USSD codes using your mobile device. Keep our Naira clean and fresh. Be limitless.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.